Welcome to the Pitchwerks podcast. I'm Scott McTaggart. Over the last 20 years, I've been a sales rep, a marketer, a manager, an executive, a consultant, and an advisor. This show is designed to give you access to my list of contacts so that you can learn more about how to present your ideas at work and succeed in your career.
Startups and salespeople, marketers and managers from the Epicast Network in Pittsburgh. It's the Pitchwerks podcast.
I can control how the product is presented, how the customer is interacting with the brand, how they're receiving the product, all of it.
Hey everybody, it's Scott. It's Wednesday and it's a Pitchwerks podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This week's guest is Rachel Reid. She's the founder of Subtl Beauty, and this just makes sense. I'm really pulling for this product, this person. I love products that make sense, and you're going to love what Subtl Beauty is. They sell a stack. It is a small, it snaps together. It takes up very little room. It's a makeup, a skincare product. It's launching on Kickstarter. You're going to love it. Check them out at Subtl Beauty. That's SUBTLBEAUTY.com. Rachel is a good sport. I can't wait to talk to her. Before we jump into the interview, though, I'm going to ask you to rate and review this fine program, if only just because it's force of habit at this point. It helps other people find the show, and that is very important to all of us over here who slave away on it each and every week. Let's jump in. Let's talk to Rachel. Let's find out what's going on with Subtl Beauty and the upcoming Kickstarter launch. So, Rachel Reid, how are things?
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Prove it.
I don't know.
You got big stuff coming up.
I do.
I'm pretty excited for you.
It's exciting and stressful at the same time.
You know, I am not a regular and avid consumer of makeup products.
What?
But
really?
I love what you're working on. And I'll tell you why. Because you have solved what is a fundamental logistics problem. And I'm going to try to explain Subtl Beauty in a way that I think like everybody gets it. We all know that person who is a weird trunk packer when you go on a road trip, right? Where it's Tetris in the trunk of the car and it's like, oh, don't put that bag there. It doesn't fit perfectly, right? I respect the beauty stack that you sell so much, and the fact that just everything goes together exactly right. And then you don't have weird shapes and weird sizes polluting your bag. Am I anywhere near something one of your customers has said to you so far?
Yes, definitely. In particular, carry-ons, actually. So people who travel frequently, they try to just take a carry-on. And when you are piling in all your beauty products, it gets a little bit crazy in there.
So if you don't mind me saying, right, this seems like something that should have happened already. Like,
I agree.
I think that's a sign of a good product. Yes,
I think so. Or it's an idea that people have thrown out before. You just don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, the reality is that I was looking for this solution.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. And so I made it myself instead.
I love anything that's like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't think of that. There are so many times when someone introduces you to something and it feels like it's been staring you in the face, or you've taken the long way around to solve a problem that was much simpler for years. You're relatively young. My question for you is, where did the confidence come from that like that was a real answer? Like, oh, well, I'll just start the company.
So I actually come from a family of entrepreneurs.
Okay, there it is.
So I actually rebelled against them when I came out of college and went into corporate and was like, this is great. This is comfortable. There's these things called benefits.
I leave at 5.
Yeah, it was great. And so my family was like...
There's birthday cake in the 3rd floor conference room every day.
Every day.
Yeah, for real.
So, and so it was always inside me, but I didn't, I liked this comfortable life until a problem presented itself and I was getting a little bit antsy, so I finally was like, okay, let's do it. Because that's my normal. Building something, creating something from scratch. I mean, that's my normal.
Why?
Just because I've grown up around it, I've had family who have identified problems themselves and just sort of solved them, on their own. So we're just...
Some people like the control aspect of it. Some people like... No, for real. I mean, you kind of gave me the face like, oh boy, that might be part of it. No, so, like some people do not do well in that corporate structure. Like they don't like the waste, the friction, the commute, there's 15 different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What for you makes it feel like home?
So, it's interesting. I consider myself pretty risk averse.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And so I've been thinking a lot about, well, why am I doing this? Like, why am I so comfortable kind of branching out on my own, starting my own company? And I was listening to a podcast actually a couple of months ago and someone said it really well. And basically, even though you're risk averse, if you have that kind of control side of you, like you like to be more in control, the idea of having control of your own destiny in the own company that you're building, your own salary, all of those things, that plays into that entrepreneurial role. And so when you look at people who you would consider like, oh, I'm surprised they're taking that risk, that's typically why.
When I first met you, I was kind of surprised, like, and read into that however you like, right? That you had so many of these lessons nailed down. Let me give you another lesson that I was surprised that you nailed. A lot of entrepreneurs think that they have to have a truly novel, out of left field idea. Like if it's not completely like what you came up with here is an improvement on something that existed, and that makes adoption really easy. A lot of people are out there looking for some crazy, pink striped elephant, unicorn from the future. They'll spend so much time turning down perfectly good business opportunities that they won't actually start something until they're 40. I guess if I were going to say it a different way, I love the fact that you see the business opportunity not in an invention, but in an improvement of what people are used to. Because that is where adoption really lives, is don't change people's religion. Don't ask them to make a major conversion. Just make their lives a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. And adoption is so key. I mean, there are a lot of elements to the product that we're putting to market that is very foreign to what women are used to. And so, the idea of this sort of compact stacking solution is very unique. But that was the only part that I wanted to be unique. I wanted women to feel comfortable using the makeup inside of the stacks. And so that meant giving them formulas that they're used to, giving them powders when they're used to using powders, giving them cream when they're used to using cream, reducing as many of those hurdles as possible when it comes to adoption. I think that make it easy for them,
I take my hat off to you, because a lot of people would have passed. They would have seen the opportunity and said, "No, I'd rather invent hyperdrive instead." Like I'd rather do something that's never ever been seen. But that's a tough racket. Trying to wait around for the thing that is crazy, and frankly, if it's truly amazing and innovative and whatever, no one adopts it. That's the point I'm making.
Oh, and it's tough. Adoption's so tough. Mm-hmm. That's the hard part, really.
So let's go to what's inside the stack, right? Yeah. You said you wanted to give them what they were used to,
yes.
Right? Now, if I'm playing the devil's advocate and I look at Subtl Beauty, right? What I'm most concerned of is like, are you going to ask me to change what I'm already doing? And you said there's different, I want to say form factors. I've got it wrong though. There's different formulations. There's different tell me
products.
What word you use for this.
Yeah, there are different product options within the stack. And we have 5 products that we're launching with.
Okay.
We arrived at those 5 through, honestly, just interviewing a ton of women. What do you use every day? What are you putting in your purse when you're running out the door?
I'm a sucker for customer discovery.
Oh, I had a lot of fun, actually, doing
you?
it. Yeah, it was really enjoyable. I was nervous at first, don't get me wrong. Just the idea of like talking to strangers, and they may just totally shoot your idea down. But
just tell you exactly the thing that you're afraid of.
Oh, for sure. And I definitely avoided it for a little bit, but I feel so much better having done it. And that's how I came up with my products. And so once I got used to talking with women, I've actually made all of my decisions going forward based on user-generated feedback. So
how many people do you talk to? Like, how do you, not because I know you have to have done multiple phases, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess the question I really want to ask is, how many people do you have to hear from before you feel like you're ready to rule on a decision?
That's an interesting question. And I think it depends on the question that I'm asking.
Oh, good point. Okay, so let me give you an example to make it easier.
Okay.
Right? Let's go with the 5 things that you're launching with.
Yeah.
So it wasn't 6, it wasn't 4.
Mm-hmm.
How many people did you feel like you needed feedback from before you said, okay, this is the stuff that needs to ship on day 1?
Well, I've made the decision. So, and I interviewed between 75 and 100 women.
Mm-hmm.
So it's safe to say that I was feeling comfortable with that number.
Yeah.
But I also paired that with data. So I looked at top sellers on competitors' websites for both full-size and travel-size products. I paired that feedback with concrete data to help me make those decisions.
Now you're going to launch this through Kickstarter.
I am.
Kickstarter launches the 20th.
Yes.
The 20th is present, so you're right here up against it. What happens after that? What's the plan for go-to-market after you've validated your market? You've got all these people that you're filling orders for. Have you made decisions about that, or are you going to follow the data on that question as well?
So my background is actually in e-commerce. And so from day one, this was always going to be a direct-to-consumer e-commerce model. Mm-hmm. I think that that's really where I can bring my talents to the company. And so we'll be online only. I've had a lot of people talk to me about retail, get into stores. And honestly,
Right.
that
It doesn't appeal to you.
scares the out of me because it's just one other.
Scares you.
I think you need to nail down your primary source of revenue first
Okay.
before you move on to these other.
This feels right to me.
Yeah. And so that's why it scares me because, I do have a lot of really amazing resources who are trying to get me into retail. And I'm like, come to me in 2 years, but
Don't lose that thought.
Yeah,
I'll be back.
Yeah.
You're spreading from a position where you feel strong.
Yes. Or starting from a position where I feel strong.
Well, yeah, I guess. I'm looking at it as you're not telling them that they're wrong.
No.
But you want to prove the version that you feel in your gut before you go out on a limb.
Yeah, going back to, the control thing, it's a controlled environment.
Absolutely.
I can control how the product is presented, how the customer is interacting with the brand, how they're receiving the product, all of it.
If I lose, I want it to be on my decisions,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if I ever get a setback, I want it to be because of things I did as opposed to things I punted to someone else.
Yes.
Like here, Rachel, you take this so that you can take the fall in case it doesn't work out is not the way I operate, right? And if I don't 100% believe in what those people are trying to tell me, it's hard for me to say that to them. It's hard for me to say like, look, I think this might fail. And if I fail, I don't want it to be because of you. I want it to be because of me.
Right.
It's a weird conversation to have with people because they're so excited. They're enthusiastic. They're trying to help you. They have a strong, like, oh, I'm really good in retail. And you're like, I'm really not.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah. So maybe a couple years down the road after you've established your strength on e-commerce.
I definitely think so. I think that, if a retail store were to come to me, that would be a different conversation. But to go out and pursue these retail placements while I'm trying to just figure out the online stuff.
Yeah.
It's just,
True or false? It's a disadvantage working with retail online or like in-person customers because the data is so much harder to get your hands on.
The data is harder and also the margins are crap.
I believe that.
And so when I'm a small business and I'm bootstrapping, starting from pennies, the idea of giving up that much to get it into stores is kind of tough. Though I know we can't be picky this early on. But yeah, so there's no data.
You have to be the general. Just own it.
Yeah.
Right? You have to. Take the control. You're only one person, right?
Yep.
You can only make so many decisions in the course of a day.
Right.
You don't feel like delegating those decisions.
Yeah.
And if anybody holds it against you, they just won't buy the product and we'll all live through that. How much is the price point coming out of the gate on the Kickstarter?
So each layer is going to be $20 because the stack is customizable. So
Right.
you can build your own. So you can have as little as 2 products if you want, or you can have all 5.
Right. And
So
they
it
snap
differs.
together
Yeah.
any which way. So you could even do a couple different stacks based on a couple different plans, right?
Yeah. And it's funny. I've had a couple of women say, oh, I wish it was in a different order. It kills me that it's in the order that it's in. And I'm like, just reorder it.
That's all you got to do.
Just change it up.
Really, people need a minute to let that marinate in their head and think about what's possible. I think about the lovely and talented Mrs. MacTaggart, where she kind of has like 3 modes, right? Where I can see her carrying one thing when she's doing just like her regular day-to-day routine. There's a different thing when she's going out with friends.
Yes.
There's a different thing further, right? When maybe we've got date night, right? A different idea altogether.
Yeah.
And I could see, rather than saying like, oh, well, this has to fit all 3 of those, 3 small containers being put in 3 different places, 3 small stacks being put in 3 different places. You're the data person. Are they as slow to pick up on that part of it as I think they might be?
I was slow to pick up on that, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. So I had envisioned it was 1 stack for home and on-the-go use. So both.
Got it.
And when I would talk, actually, I think it was my mom who first said it. She had said, for her, she was like, oh, no, I'm buying 2 stacks, one for work,
right,
stay at work, and one for the home. And that blew my mind. I was like, oh man, I'd never
thought of that. That makes perfect sense, yeah.
And since then, I've had other women kind of mention that. So I think what I love is that women are making it their own. For whatever works for them. I like to carry it around. I've had my prototype for about a year now. And so I take that thing everywhere.
I would love to know what the initial versions of
Oh my goodness. They were fun.
I'm sure. Because I can't believe that you started this whole line of thought with like, oh, these are going to snap together very nicely. And, we're going to have them made by some sort of production facility so that, they have the logo and whatnot.
Yeah.
What was version like 0.1 on the Subtl Beauty stack?
Well, so 0.1 had a very different purpose.
Yeah.
So the way I actually came up with the idea was it was back in 2016, and I was in a very new relationship. And so, we would go out for date night, and I would inevitably end up, sleeping over. He would sleep over at my house. But my problem was that when I would stay at his house, there were a ton of stuff that I needed to take with me that I couldn't fit in my little crossbody bag.
Right.
It's like the size of your hand. But you don't want to be presumptuous.
I'm low maintenance, right? That's the statement you try to make. I'm low maintenance.
I'm trying to get this guy, right? I'm trying to...
You don't show up with the cartoon steamer trunk.
Yeah. It's like, here, pop the trunk while I put my stuff in.
Yeah. Do you have a doorman in this building?
So, trying to be low key about it. So I actually went online to see if there was kind of a compact kit that I could store both my skincare and makeup products in, so I could throw it in my bag and go. And I found that there wasn't. And so what I ended up doing was taking empty contact cases and filling them with, I want to say it was concealer, moisturizer, a BB, and some lip cheek color.
You put it in contact cases.
Empty contact cases.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so my friends saw, and they're like, "Wow, Rachel, what are you doing?
What have you done?
Yeah.
He can't be worth all this, Rachel. He just can't."
Well, so they were kind of like, "Okay, you're crazy," and we would laugh about it, and we had a fun name for it. We called it Hoe on the Go.
Oh yeah.
Own it,
You may as well, right? Steer into the skid.
At that point. But
I'm sure you didn't necessarily, introduce him to that vernacular right away.
Oh, right, no.
You're like, "No, that's my virgin who stays at home kit."
Exactly.
Hopefully the relationship was worth it.
Well, yes, now we're engaged, so.
All right. You heard it here first. Buy a stack, get married.
Yep.
It's just that easy.
It's just that easy, yeah.
$100.
Yeah,
just do it.
All it is. It's all it is.
Just make sure you buy all 5, because who knows? The thing
you need all 5.
The thing you miss might be the thing you needed. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I thought it was just a me problem. And then I would have these same friends who were like kind of laughing with me. So they started asking me, "Oh, what did you do again? Was it contact cases? How did you do it?" And so, truth be told, I don't remember the exact moment where I was like, "Oh, I'm going to build a company around this." But I do remember having the idea and having a visual of what I wanted it to be. And so I went to two very good friends who would tell it to you straight.
Nice.
You know?
Got to have those.
Yeah. And I didn't
No
tell...
disrespect to parents, but they always want to tell you that it's going to be great.
You know what's funny? My mom is not like that at all. So she would probably be like, no, it's dumb as well.
You need someone like that.
You do.
need to
You
have
do.
someone who's going to save you from wasting months, if not years.
Yes. Yeah. And when you have this new idea, it's kind of like you don't want someone to tell you it sucks and then be embarrassed. So I was like, these are two people I will tell. If it sucks, then those are the only two people who ever knew about it.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends, I told her about it. I had this really rough prototype and I told her about Hoe on the Go.
That's great.
And she kind of looked at me and was like, well, I don't know about all that. But what I would use it for is when I'm at work and the first time I have an opportunity to actually like go to the bathroom and look in the mirror is 11 a.m. And she said, every day I regret not spending an extra like 5-10 minutes on myself in the morning, even though I didn't have time. So she said she'd love to be able to keep something in her bag that when she is able to steal those moments throughout the day, she can spend it on herself.
So you have your second use case, your second persona has just presented itself.
Yes.
Just through the does this suck question.
Yeah. Hey, does this suck? Well,
well, it doesn't suck. It's just not my use case.
I just
It's a
don't
pretty
know.
good answer.
Yeah. And so I think from there, I started having more conversations with others. And I think that's where Hoe on the Go kind of transformed itself into something a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
And so, we eventually migrated to Subtl Beauty.
Yes.
Through a simple spelling mistake.
I mean, they're basically the same name.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah, you wouldn't know the difference.
Spelling mistake, you say?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I was on Google. It was just
You know this goes out on the internet and people are going to hear it.
Autocorrect didn't catch up with me.
Oh, for real?
I just missed the E.
Yeah.
And I typed it in and I was like, oh crap, and I went to click Subtl Beauty and I was like, actually, I kind of like that. And
I like the logo.
Thank
I think
you.
the logo came out nice.
Thanks.
And I honestly think that the word subtle helps you with explaining to every use case.
Yes, exactly. It's the makeup that kind of sits in the backseat of your life. So it's always there for you.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
it sits in the backseat of your life.
It does. Yeah.
See, I always look for that short, punchy description that is like the salad course, right? Like everybody can have it.
Yep.
No big deal. And again, I am not a heavy user of your product. However, from my chair, we're living at a time where minimalism is probably at one of its highest points of popularity, right? People want to be seen as being low maintenance. Mm-hmm. People are trying to simplify their life. There's these organizational people who are like, if there's anything in your house that doesn't bring you joy, throw it away, right? Like simple, small. I mean, let's be honest, like there's an entire generation coming up that's living through a period of like severely depressed wages, right? So small may not even be their choice so much as it is what's imposed upon them, right? The ability to, when something is big, you don't have any choices. When something is small, you could still put it into a big container. Right. That's what I like, is the flexibility argument fits every use case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, it's interesting. There is definitely a minimalistic movement. But in beauty, what I've found over the last couple of years, there's definitely that movement happening in beauty as well. But for the most part, beauty really caters towards these women who like to spend a lot of time doing their makeup in the mornings. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's not my brand. Simplify your life, it's just a simple product.
Well, again, if you've got 5 products and one comes in a square container and it's made of glass, and another comes in a round container and it's made of a hollow plastic that makes a drumming noise every time it bumps into something, you're already running into friction.
Oh, yeah. Or palettes. These products come in these giant palettes that have about 10 different shades. Yep. Ask any woman if they've ever finished an entire palette. I've still not met someone who has. Okay. And so it's all this wasted product as well. I buy palettes because I'm like, oh, well, I like, 3 of the shades.
Yeah.
I maybe finish 2 of them, and all of this other product goes to waste. And it's huge. They're like the size of notebooks. I mean, we live on the go. I mean, women don't spend hardly any time at home anymore, where we're doing so many things. We're traveling a lot. 500,000 women a day are traveling for work. So they're flying. They're flying to location. Those are incredible numbers. And that's just in the US alone. What the summer that I came up with the product, I was maybe spending a day or 2 in my house a week. And so you need more flexibility. I'm surprised that, like you said in the beginning, I'm surprised that no one has come up with this yet.
But that is, if I'm right, a harbinger of success. When everyone kind of slaps their forehead and goes, that should have already existed, that's exactly where you want to be. We all had that moment where somebody came out with something and you just sat there looking at it going, why didn't I start that company?
Yeah.
Why didn't I create this thing? I've been saying that someone needed to do this for years. There's something funny about, in makeup, how many people have their hands on it, though? There are so many people in this industry. It makes it that much more shocking to me that when I saw this, I went, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got it here on the table in front of us, right? And I would say, what is that, like a silver dollar size in diameter? And I'm going to say probably 2 inches high.
Yeah.
It's very, very small, and I can understand the appeal. But you think about the people who do this at their neighborhood party. Then you think about the people who do this at the Target near you, or the Macy's near you, or the whatever. Then you start talking about the places where you can buy makeup online.
Yeah.
Then you start talking about the pharmacies, right? Like where you kind of have to know what you need already. It's not the full experience. Then the beauty superstores. There's so many people that have their hands in this industry.
Oh, yeah.
And here I'm sitting across from the person who's like, well, why doesn't it fit into a small bag? That's weird to me. It's
weird to me too. I don't know I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, I don't know why.
If this was dudes, it would have been handled by now. They're like, I'm not carrying a bag.
Well, it's funny. Women create so many hacks around this. Like, and in my interviews, women are pre-soaking cotton pads of their cleanser for travel, and they're like decanting their makeup. There are videos on YouTube about decanting your larger makeup into
I still don't know what this means. I don't even know what that word means.
Yeah, it's a chemistry.
I mean, how does something get canted? I wish I were kidding.
They're like melting the makeup and then pouring it into different containers.
How about that?
Like, just outrageous. There are YouTube how to
again, it validates it.
How to pack your carry-on, it's insane.
It's all validation. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
You're watching on YouTube as people validate your idea. Yeah. So we're gonna kick this off. I mean, here we go. The Kickstarter's about to go. What's the goal?
The goal is to raise $10,000.
Oh, you're gonna never mind. I don't want to jinx you.
Don't jinx me.
I said nothing.
You'll be the first to blame.
I say that's okay. You're not the first person to blame me today. 10,000 though seems like an achievable goal.
Yeah, I think so. My real goal for Kickstarter is to just get feedback, get the product out there, and
love that that's your answer. That's what I think the right thing to do is here.
Yeah. I mean, people on Kickstarter, they're the ones who will tell you if it's a crap idea, you know? Or they'll also, give really great insight into ways that you can improve or change it in the future. So that's all future
But you've already
iterations.
put some of these into the hands of some users. Mm-hmm. So you is it fair to say that you're also testing the pitch?
Yes, definitely.
It feels more like you're testing the pitch than the product.
Messaging's tough.
I know.
And
we built a show around it.
Messaging's so hard. And, I'm kind of in between these two worlds. The beauty industry, which, there's a lot of vanity around it. There's a lot of perfection around it because you're selling this idea of you buy my product and you will be perfect. And that's been played out. That's how historically, beauty has been. And then I'm also in this startup kind of grungy side where, just get MVP to market, just get it to market, just get, if you're proud
They
of your
need
first
a little bit
products,
of
then
this.
so it's been an interesting type walk.
Yeah, I'm with you. They need
walk.
this. They definitely need this.
Yeah.
The idea that fashion and makeup is always about glamour feels overused. Sometimes it's just about the same way I get dressed in the morning, right? It's like, well, I need my colors to match.
Yeah.
Right. It's something, it's just very basic. Like, okay, I need to make sure that, I don't know, my appearance is not surprising, right? It doesn't always have to be a runway. It doesn't always have to be exciting.
Exactly. And I think that my product kind of fits that mode of like, you're matching your clothes.
It's functional.
Yeah. I'm not selling blue eyeshadow. We're not going crazy here. We're just your basics.
You don't want to do blue eyeshadow?
Not right now. No.
They had a good run with that on Drew Carey. I heard. So Subtl Beauty, SUBTL BEAUTY.com. That's where you can actually see all the photos and whatnot. And the Kickstarter is going to link right off of that page too. So if you're so inclined, you might even be able to support Rachel Reid and all of her Subtl Beauty adventures. And would it be okay when we do photos for the show and whatnot if we actually do you have some that people can see, like the stack here?
Yeah.
And I think there's another product too that you're selling.
Yeah, there's a brush as well. Yeah, with a lid, so I can roll
I'm going to
around.
act like I know what that's for.
Brushes are for powders.
Hey, I kept a pretty open mind, right? I did pretty good.
You did pretty good.
I did okay. Rachel Reid, Subtl Beauty. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
All right, that's all the time we've got this week. Thank you to Rachel Reid for coming in here and explaining Subtl Beauty. I hope you heard all of the different things that were sprinkled into this week's conversation. I think there's a ton you can work with there. Do me a favor, if you took anything away from this week's show, make sure you support her Kickstarter. Go to subtlbeauty.com. Remember, you're going to drop the E out of subtle in order to get to the right place. Click the link, you'll go to the Kickstarter, and see what all the fuss is about. Otherwise, Buzzy and I are going to make another edition of this fine program, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.
The Pitchwerks podcast comes to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, a production of the Epicast Network and McTaggart, LLC. Engineering and production by Buzzy Torek and Nick Miller. For more information, show feedback, and ad sales, visit pitchwerks.com. pitchwerks.com. On social media, find and follow the show on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram using that same brand name, pitchwerks.